September 20, 1891. Sunday, 11 a.m. On the Lake Bourget, just started. The castle of Chatillon, high overhead, showing above the trees. It was a wonderfully still place to sleep in. Beside us, there was nobody in it but a woman, a boy, and a dog. A pope was born in the room I slept in. No, he became a pope later. The lake is smooth as glass. A brilliant sun is shining. Our boat is comfortable and shady with its awning. 11:20. We have crossed the lake and are entering the canal. Shall presently be in the Rhone. Noon. Nearly down to the Rhone. Passing the village of Shannon. 3:15 p.m. Sunday. We have been in the Rhone 3 hours. It is unimaginably still and reposeful and cool and soft and breezy. No rowing or work of any kind to do. We merely float with the current. We glide noiseless and swift, as fast as a London cab horse rips along, 8 miles an hour. The swiftest current I've ever boated in. We have the entire river to ourselves, nowhere a boat of any kind. Goodbye, sweetheart. SLC, Port de Grosley, Monday, 4:15 p.m., September 21, 1891. Name of the village, which we left 5 minutes ago. We went ashore at 5 p.m. yesterday, dear heart, and walked a short mile to St. Gilles, a big village, and took quarters at the principal inn. Had a good dinner, and afterwards a long walk out of town on the banks of the Gers till 7:30. Went to bed at 8:30, and continued to make notes and read books and newspapers till midnight. Slept until 8, breakfasted in bed, and lay till noon, because there had been a very heavy rain in the night, and the day was still dark and lowering. But at noon the sun broke through, and in 15 minutes we were tramping toward the river. Got afloat at 1 p.m., but at 2:40 we had to rush suddenly ashore and take refuge in the above village. Just as we got ourselves and traps safely housed in the inn, the rain let go and came down in great style. We lost an hour and a half there, but we are off again now with bright sunshine. I wrote you yesterday, my darling, and shall expect to write you every day. Good day, and love to all of you, Samuel. On the Rhone below Villebois. Tuesday noon. Good morning, sweetheart. Night caught us yesterday where we had to take quarters in a peasant's house, which was occupied by the family and a lot of cows and calves, also several rabbits. The latter had a ball, and I was the ballroom, but they were very friendly and didn't bite. Peasants were mighty kind and hearty, and flew around and did their best to make us comfortable. This morning I breakfasted on the shore in the open air with 2 sociable dogs and a cat. Clean cloth, napkin, and table furniture, white sugar, a vast hunk of excellent butter, good bread, first-class coffee with pure milk, fried fish just caught. Wonderful that so much cleanliness should come out of such a phenomenally dirty house. An hour ago we saw the Falls of the Rhone, a prodigiously rough and dangerous-looking place. Shipped a little water, but came to no harm. It was one of the most beautiful pieces of piloting and boat management I ever saw. Our admiral knew his business. We have had to run ashore for shelter every time it has rained heretofore, but Joseph has been putting in his odd time making a waterproof sunbonnet for the boat, and now we sail along dry, although we had many heavy showers this morning. With a word of love to you all, and particularly you, Samuel. On the Rhone, below Vienna. I salute you, my darling. Your telegram reached me in Lyon last night and was very pleasant news indeed. I was up and shaved before 8 this morning, but we got delayed and didn't sail from Lyon till 10:30. An hour and a half lost. And we've lost another hour. 2 of them, I guess, since, by an error. We came inside of Vienna at 2 o'clock, several miles ahead on a hill, and I proposed to walk down there and let the boat go ahead of us, but Joseph and I got out and struck through a willow swamp along a dim path, and by came out on the steep bank of a slough or inlet or something, and we followed that bank forever and ever, trying to get around the head of that slough. Finally, I noticed a twig standing up in the water, and by George, it had a distinct and even vigorous quiver to it. I don't know when I have felt so much like a donkey on an island. I wanted to drown somebody, but I hadn't anybody I could spare. However, after another long tramp, we found a lonely native, and he had a scow, and soon we were on the mainland. Yes, and a blame sight further from Vienna than we were when we started. Notes. I make millions of them, and so I get no time to write to you. If you got a pad there, please send it post restante to Avignon. I may not need it, but I fear I shall. I'm straining to reach St. Pierre de Boeuf, but it's going to be a close fit, I reckon. Afloat, Friday, 3 p.m., 91. Livy, darling, we sailed from St. Pierre de Boeuf 6 hours ago and are now approaching Tournon, where we shall not stop but go on and make Valence, a city of 25,000 people. It's too delicious, floating with the swift current under the awning these superb, sunshiny days in deep peace and quietness. Some of these curious old historical towns strangely persuade me, but it is so lovely afloat that I don't stop, but view them from the outside and sail on. We get abundance of grapes and peaches for next to nothing. Joseph is perfect. He is at his very best and never was better in his life. I guess he gets discouraged and feels disliked and in the way when he is lying around, but here he is perfection, and brim full of useful alacrities and helps and ingenuities. When I woke up an hour ago and heard the clock strike 4, I said, I seem to have been asleep an immensely long time. I must have gone to bed mighty early. I wonder what time I did go to bed. And I got up and lit a candle and looked at my watch to see. Afloat, 2 hours below Bourg Saint-Andiol, Monday, 11 a.m., September 28. Livy, darling, I didn't write yesterday. We left Le Voult in a driving storm, a cold rain, couldn't ride in it, and at 1 p.m., when we were not thinking of stopping, we saw a picturesque and mighty ruin on a high hill back of a village, and I was seized with a desire to explore it. So we landed at once and set out with rubbers and umbrella, sending the boat ahead to St. Andial, and we spent 3 hours clambering about those cloudy heights among those worn and vast and idiotic ruins of a castle built by 2 crusaders 650 years ago. The work of these asses was full of interest, and we had a good time inspecting, examining, and scrutinizing it. All the hills on both sides of the Rhone have peaks and precipices, and each has its gray and wasted pile of moldy walls and broken towers. The Romans displaced the Gauls, the Visigoths displaced the Romans, the Saracens displaced the Visigoths, the Christians displaced the Saracens, and it was these pious animals who built these strange lairs and cut each other's throats in the name and for the glory of God, and robbed and burned and slew in peace and war, and the pauper and the slave built churches, and the credit of it went to the bishop who racked the money out of them. These are pathetic shores, and they make one despise the human race. We came down in an hour by rail, but I couldn't get your telegram till this morning, for it was Sunday and they had shut up the post office to go to the circus. I went too. It was all one family, parents and 5 children, performing in the open air to 200 of these enchanted villagers who contributed coppers when called on. It was a most gay and strange and pathetic show. I got up at 7 this morning to see the poor devils cook their poor breakfast and pack up their sordid fineries. This is a 9-kilometer current, and the wind is with us. We shall make Avignon before 4 o'clock. I saw watermelons and pomegranates for sale at St. Andial. With the power of love, sweetheart, Samuel.